Thank you so much for tuning in. Another of C.H.L.M.S Medi-Helpz Wednesday series. We certainly want to say thank you for joining in with us. Hope that you'll learn something tonight, walk away with some resources, and learn some information on a very important topic, which is infertility. As CHOM's pillars, which is patient education, patient empowerment, and patient engagement, can be empowered or until they first educated. Wednesday educational series because we want to make sure all patients, especially those in the minority and the underserved or slash marginalized communities, know that there are resources available and that there is absolutely positively no reason why they should have to enter into the healthcare journey alone. Data shows, the latest data shows that a lot seeking care. Now, we don't know why they're not seeking care, but we do know when they don't seek care, that hurts not only themselves, but also brings harm to the further ado, I'm to go for this evening. Her name is Robin Gardner. Her and her husband have a personal story that they, just want to touch upon and share with people because they know that there are others that are out that are going through challenges through. So lives, and in order for them to touch lives, they started their nonprofit organization, Infertility for the going to go ahead and turn there. And I'm that what I which is actually be a patient and be educated. So Robin, it is on you.
Thank you so much. I truly appreciate you having me on this site to inform everyone about what infertility for the soul is and just to give some information about infertility. So I'm going to present what I have, and I'm going to share my screen so everyone can see it. All right. Can you see this here? I didn't hear, so let me see if, okay, there we go. Can you hear? Can you see?
Yes, I can see and hear. You might want to do. You know what? It's coming out good. What might happen is that you go through the slides; they might come out a little bit clearer, but you should be okay.
Okay. I just want to make sure because when I was on the slides, I didn't hear you talking. So I just wanted to make sure you could see. So I'll go ahead and start. All right. So, as we all know, my nonprofit is called Infertility for the Soul. And just a little about me. I started my nonprofit in 2019. I have two wonderful children. I have a little girl and a boy. My daughter is 11. She'll be turning 12 in a couple of weeks, and my son is 14. And both of my children are by my previous husband. And so I ended up getting with my husband now, and we were trying to start a family. And within, I would say, about a couple of years of trying to start our own family, we noticed that we were having some issues. And so I told him, with me being in the medical field for about almost 14 years now, I said, we may need to go see a doctor just to kind of ask some questions on why we have not received a positive pregnancy test yet. So we started our journey with going to see a doctor, which was my OB doctor, and my OB doctor introduced me to a reproductive doctor. Once I started speaking with our reproductive doctor, we started to get some tests done. We did blood work, we did ultrasounds, we did semen analysis, and what we found out was my husband had male infertility. And because he had male infertility, we were told that we would not be able to reproduce. And the only way we would be able to reproduce is if we started a cycle, which is called in vitro fertilization, or for short, IVF. I didn't know anything about this as an African American woman. I had never heard anything about this. I was just really unsure of what IVF was all about. So instead of jumping into it, I went home and did some research on it. And what I found out was it involved a lot of medication, dealing with hormones, some procedures, and all these things that I just never knew about. So I went back to the reproductive doctor and I talked to them about other options. There are other options that I will get into later on. But what we ended up doing was doing IUIs, and those are they're called inseminations. And so I started with something smaller than an IVF because with IUIs, you can do those procedures with medication and without medication. I just wasn't for sure if I wanted to um, pump so many hormones in my body. So we started with the IUIs and we did 2 rounds of IUIs, but they both failed. At that point, I knew that we probably needed to move on to IVF. So we went on to IVF and we did 2 rounds of IVF. We did one here in Michigan, Grand Rapids, Michigan. Um, and that was a procedure for me. It tested everything that I can think about. And I'm for sure, if there's anyone out there who have struggled with infertility, everything is tested, from your spirituality to financial, um, physical, everything you could think of, mental. It was just tested. So that was a fail. It did not work. And I went into it thinking that it would work because I felt as if there was nothing wrong with my body. The issue was male infertility. So once we found out that it failed, I was devastated. He was devastated. And I didn't know where to go from there. I didn't know who to talk to. I didn't know any other people that looked like me, um, who I could go to at the moment. So we were devastated. So it took a while for us to kind of get back on our feet. Once I got back on my feet, I decided that I wanted to start my nonprofit. So I started that in 2019. So basically, my nonprofit, Infertility for the Soul, what we do, we support people who are dealing with infertility in any form, any shape, any fashion. We deal with healing, so we talk about it. We allow others to talk about it and just kind of lay everything on the floor about what we can do, what we can't do, and how we just heal from this terrible, terrible disease. Um, Infertility for the Soul also educates. We educate on what infertility is, how we can deal with it, how we can cope with it. And then we provide grants and resources. So depending on funding wise, we'll give grants for medication if you need it for IVF or IUI. If you need grants just to kind of help you get started, we also provide resources as well. Um, my nonprofit, the goals of my nonprofit is to make sure that I'm dedicated to building network of supporters with the shared goal of providing support and other resources to those directly impacted by infertility. So I want everyone who's dealing with this disease to feel supported, to have someone to talk to, because I knew that that was my biggest challenge. I couldn't find anyone to talk to. I didn't know no one to talk to. And in the African American community, we don't talk about this. as I grew up as a little girl, I didn't talk about infertility or what that was. We didn't talk about ways that people could not get pregnant, why they couldn't get pregnant. All we knew was people could get pregnant, and that was that. It was never talked about. So another one of my goals is just to get rid of the stigma that's associated with infertility. And I try to do this by promoting education and awareness around the topic, just letting people know what it is, providing a platform for them, man and woman, because this is not just a woman disease. Okay, it's a man disease as well. And my biggest thing that I really want to happen with infertility for the soul is to have people know that it is okay to talk about this. It is okay to be open and to share your message on infertility, your journey. And another goal of mine is to educate and make awareness on causes of infertility, family building options, and holistic alternatives for helping with conceiving. A lot of people don't like going straight to IVF, they think it's too much, or IUI. So we do have holistic alternatives that women and men can look into. Um, I want to talk a little bit about reproductive health. So, according to the National Institute of Environmental Health Services, reproductive health refers to diseases, disorders, and conditions that affect the functioning of the male and female reproductive systems
Robin,
during. Yes,
Robin,
I can't hear you. You're completely out.
I'm so-
Can you hear me?
Hey,
I can't hear you at all.
I'm sorry. Can you go back to the slide before reproductive health,
Yep,
please?
yep, 1 second. This slide here.
Yeah, for that information that will be helpful.
I'm sorry, what you say?
I said if you could go back.
Yes, completely. You're going completely in and out. I'm sorry.
Okay, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Yes.
Okay, can you go back over this slide because for some reason StreamYard didn't pick it up. So could you please go over the slide again?
Yep, I sure will. I sure will. So, this slide, I just talked about my goals and what the goals are for infertility for the soul. So, the first goal was to provide a dedicated network of supporters with the shared goal of providing support and other resources to those directly impacted by infertility. So, at this goal, I just want people to know that we do have supporters for you to talk to. We want you to be able to talk to people. We want you to have those resources to know where to start or where to go. And then my second goal was to kind of just dispel the stigma that's associated with infertility. There's this big stigma on infertility, on not to talk about it. Just let it ride and keep going. So I'm trying to get rid of that stigma by promoting education and awareness around the topic. I also want to provide a platform for men and women to openly share their passage or their journey about infertility. And what I was stating was, us as African American women, And men, we do not talk about this. We don't talk about it at all. When we grow up, we learn about pregnancy. We learn that, you can get pregnant, but they do not teach us on the diseases that are out here that will not allow you to get pregnant. And I want to be able to allow men and women to be open about their infertility journey and about their passages on infertility, and to know that it's okay. And my last goal, um, that Infertility for the Soul has, is to educate and make awareness on causes of infertility, to talk about family building options and holistic alternatives for helping with conceiving. A lot of people do not like to jump into IUIs or IVFs because they have to deal with the medication, the things that you're putting in your body, the hormones that you're putting in the body. A lot of people like to start off with holistic alternatives. So I just want to make sure that I'm educating and making awareness to those different things that people do know about. And for reproductive health, according to the National Institute of Environmental Health Services, reproductive health refers to diseases, disorders, and conditions that affect the functioning of the male and female reproductive systems during all stages of life. Okay. Conception cannot occur if one of the essential reproductive components is lacking. So, some of the diseases out here we know of is infertility, and infertility can be found in many, many different ways. Many different ways. Endometriosis is one of the diseases that women have. Um, it's basically the tissue of the uterus is growing in other areas of the body. So it causes the woman body not to be able to reproduce. And then we have fibroids. Fibroids grow in the uterine area. And sometimes these fibroids get so big that it blocks the passages that we need to create a baby or to conceive. And these most of the time are non-cancerous. Some can be cancerous. We have gynecologic cancers. That affects the body trying to conceive. We have the blocked fallopian tubes. When tubes are blocked, sometimes it's hard to unblock them. Sometimes they like to do a flush through the tubes to kind of get whatever's blocking it out the way, and sometimes that do not work. Sometimes it do work. So that is another issue that we deal with infertility. And then we have PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. Okay. And that's when the ovaries or the glands are producing more male hormones than the female ones that we normally need. And that causes an issue as well. We have male infertility, and male infertility ranges from everything from low count, low motility, few sperm cells, no sperm cells, blockages in the testicles, injuries, all types of things can come down to male infertility. And then we have miscarriage and infertility. So a lot of people will have miscarriage and not know what to do with that. Sometimes miscarriage can evolve into infertility. For example, if you have one of your tubes that has to be taken out, okay, that is a rise of infertility. We usually need both of those tubes to conceive. Now, you can still conceive with one tube. You can still conceive with one tube. It is possible. I have seen it done. There are many, many forms of infertility. We have primary infertility. That's when couples are not able to conceive within a minimum of 1 year of unprotected sex. We have secondary infertility, and that's where doctors have been unable to diagnose. I'm sorry, that is the inability to become pregnant or carry a baby to term after previously given birth. After previously given birth. So, if you give birth to a child and you can't carry another baby after that, or you're having a hard time carrying it to term, that will be called secondary infertility. But then we have unexplained infertility. Doctors don't know what's going on. They have tested you for everything, and they just can't come up with a diagnosis of why you cannot get pregnant. And then again, the male infertility that we talked about. I want to talk a little bit about the insurance in Michigan. So, one of our biggest issues in Michigan is the insurance. Okay, a lot of employers and a lot of companies do not pay for these type of issues. There is a company called Resolve. They are the National Infertility Association, and they are all around the world in every state that you can think of. And we kind of have a similar belief in that we believe anyone who struggles to build a family deserves the access to having family building options. And what we do know is Michigan, they grade these states by different grades. So it goes from A to F. And Michigan was once at a D. We have moved up to a C minus. So we are graded at a C minus. And what that means is we only have um, a couple or a few fertility specialists in Michigan, and we only have a few lead support groups from Resolve in Michigan. There are about 300,000 women in the state, regardless of your marital status, who you have experienced physical difficulty in getting pregnant with, or carrying a pregnancy to live birth. 300,000 people in Michigan that cannot carry or cannot produce a live birth. And a lot of that is because the insurance in Michigan. There's no law covering fertility treatments and or fertility uh, preservation in Michigan. There's nothing that help us. So we are not alone. You are not alone. Okay, we are fighting every day. Resolve is fighting every day. We're going up to Grand Rapids. We're going to the Capitol. We're doing everything to try to get this fixed because we do know infertility is not something we wish. Okay, it is a disease. It is a disease. So because of that, that brings me to family building options. Again, we don't have insurance to cover it. And because of that, a lot of us can't afford IVF. We can't afford, it's so expensive for IVF to do. So some of the family building options that we have is the IUI. And that is the smallest process that we have. And basically what they do for IUI, they create eggs and they make those eggs by either giving you more hormone medication, which is done by injections, or they just allow you to release one egg like you do normally a month and you don't have to have any medications. After you make your eggs, they track your eggs. So they do a lot of ultrasounds. They make sure your eggs are doing okay, your ovaries are okay. After they do the egg tracking, they wash or rinse the sperm. So they make sure that they get all the bad sperm away and they bring in and keep all the good sperm. Once they do that, they put the good sperm in a needle and then they inseminate you. So they take a catheter and they push that good sperm inside of you in order for that sperm to swim to the through the fallopian tubes to get to the egg. And then you have to wait a couple of weeks. Usually it's about 2 weeks to see if you have a positive pregnancy test. This is usually the lowest financial process that we usually start with, which is the IUI. Then we have IVF, in vitro. And with in vitro, you usually start with ovarian stimulation hormone therapy. So you're giving yourself shots to stimulate your body to make more than one egg. The more eggs you get, the better it is. After your body has stimulated these eggs, you received all these eggs, we do aspiration. We take a needle that's connected to an ultrasound prone, and that is then inserted, and we go into the ovaries and we extract those eggs out of each ovary. Once we do that, we do the sperm preparation. So the guy will leave a sperm sample, and again we wash those sperms and we get the best sperm that we can get. Once that is done, we do egg fertilization. So we take those sperms, and we inject one sperm one time in each egg that is viable. Viable means it has to be a good mature egg. Once that is done, we start the embryo development. They start growing in the lab. And then once they get to the phase where they need to be, we transfer them. So we take them out of the lab and we transfer them back into the female body when the uterus is ready. This procedure is one of the most expensive procedures there is. In Michigan, they start at about $25,000 and up. What I have found out was there's a place in New York called CNY. That is who I did my second IVF cycle through, and they are way cheaper than what Michigan charged me. I think CNY charged me about $4,000. And again, I went to Grand Rapids in Michigan and I was charged double that. But the most popular places, they're usually starting at about 25,000 and up. Another form of family building is called cryopreservation. This one is very important, especially now, because a lot of women are talking about freezing their eggs. And that's exactly what egg cryopreservation means. It's freezing your eggs. What research has been finding is a lot of women in college are not ready to have kids. And what they're finding out is when they are ready to have kids, something has happened, something traumatic or something has went on in the body that they didn't know about. And now they're having a hard time conceiving. So we're trying to get a lot of young adolescents or a lot of women that are in college to know about freezing your eggs. It's okay to do that. That way, when the time is right, you can have your eggs that are young, that are healthy, and ready to go when you are ready. We also have adoption, we have egg and sperm donors, and we have surrogacy. Now, depending on where you live, surrogacy is either legal or not legal. And I know in Michigan, it is illegal. You can find someone to have your baby for you, but it is illegal to compensate that person. You cannot pay someone to have your child. And once they have your child in Michigan, legally, that is their child. So you really have to know someone and trust that person to do it for you. In other states where they are rated or graded at an A or B, you can do gestational carrier. You can have a surrogate. We have adoption. We have open and closed adoption and semi. Okay. We have all three of those. Closed, families do not want to know about their child at all. Open, they want to know everything about their child, what you're doing with them, how they're growing up. You got pictures, everything. They can come see the child. That is an open adoption. And semi, it's where you can write letters and you can send pictures. So you can't really come see the child. It's just semi-open for you to do a limited amount of things. You can only write or send pictures. And then we have move too quick. Then we have egg donors and sperm donors. Sometimes your eggs are shot. You don't have any more. They're not healthy. So what they do is you find another match or another woman who donates or sell their eggs to help women who are struggling with infertility, as well as men who are having infertility issues and they have no sperm count, low motility. Then we have other men who donate their sperm as well. And you can use either one depending on what your situation is. If you do not want to go the routes that we just talked about, IVF, IUI, adoption, any of those, you don't have to. You can start by using holistic alternatives. And those consist of acupuncture, basically where you're increasing the blood flow for your uterus. You want to make sure your uterus is thick enough for the lining and the implantation of an embryo. And then we have massage. Massage is relaxing those abdominal walls. Okay. You want to get the massages done before you think about conceiving. That will help. We have yoga. Yoga regulates the nervous system. Okay, so it keeps your brain functioning well, it keeps your mental functioning well. We have different foods you can try. So you want to make sure you are doing those nutritious and good foods: omega-3 fatty acids, complex carbs, fruits and veggies, foods rich in zinc, calcium, iron, and making sure you have lots of protein. Cairo helps remove misalignments and it adjusts the body parts to release the tension. So if you're having tension on your body senses that. That could be a reason why you're not conceiving. Okay, so you want to make sure that you release those tension to keep your nervous system healthy. And then there are some supplements you can take. So for the men who are struggling with their sperm, there's motility boost, there's count boost, and fertile aid. You can Google those. You can look at CNY website because that's where we and my husband originally found those at. And you can pay for those. And they did help. We saw a rise in his count. We saw a rise in his motility. So they did work. And we have maca root for women. That is also a supplement. It helps with the estrogen and the progesterone levels and keep it balanced. You don't want too much, you don't want too little. You just want it right so you can conceive. And then I do also do just a blessing away a grant. I came up with this because of the insurance reasons. Insurance don't cover. In Michigan, insurance do not cover. We don't have the help that we need. So I decided to create the Just a Blessing Away a grant. And what that does is it allows for people to fill out an application, and by the pulling or however I decide to do the grant, I do offer financial assistance to couples. So it could be couples, it could be male, it could be female, it could be whatever you're thinking of. We do offer that assistance. Okay, it could be for IUIs, it could be for IVF, it could be for the medication for IVF. The medication for IVF is super expensive, so we can utilize it for that as well. um I am going to update that on my website. I have not put together a new scholarship, but we should have one coming out soon towards maybe the end of this year. And then I do also um, have support groups and counseling. I do have a licensed counselor on my team for people who are really struggling, who can't get over this disease. So we do have those support groups for you. We do know that 1 in 8 couples will experience difficulty getting pregnant, or about 7.3 million American women experience difficulty conceiving. And for this reason, that is why I have decided that I wanted to start my infertility nonprofit. So I hope that this information, I know it was kind of pretty quick, but I hope that this information kind of helped anyone out there. My main and biggest thing about my journey and about my nonprofit is I just want everyone to know that it is okay. It is okay. It is okay to talk about it. Some people are really scared. Some people don't know anyone. Some people don't have anyone. And it's okay. There are people that help you. There are other people out there. There was a time where I did not think there was no one like me out here to talk to. And I actually found a group of sisters here that I can talk to, and we meet often and we help another. We heal, we talk, we lean on each other's shoulder, we talk about everything. So, my biggest let go here is just to be open, talk about it. You would never know who is going through this with you if we do not communicate about it.
Robin, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, I want to tell you that thank you so much, because you came when I asked you if you would please, during Infertility Awareness Week, could you please come and talk to patients, to let them know, to share information, because you are correct. You're not the only one out here that's going through that, but you managed through your hurt and through your pain to make sure that other people didn't. You took that hurt that you felt and you did something with it. You was like, I'm going to help others. And so you and your husband did. I don't want to leave him out because this is a joint effort, right? So I don't
Right.
want to leave him out of it. So you and your husband both shared, and you continue to share. And I find that it's unfortunate that in Michigan, and I'm not sure what other states do not pay for infertility, and there needs to be a number of policies and procedures that gets this done, because you know what? We don't pay for infertility. That means, what's going to happen to our future. You pregnant and giving birth. That's a place for our future. You want a future. Unfortunate. I do want to put a disclaimer out there before we end for the evening. The information that Robin shared with us is not information. And I always doctors. Talk to your medical team. See what they tell you. Get the information from them. We as patients, we can move it a little bit, but we really all need to be talking to our doctors when things come up and we have questions. We need to be checking our insurance benefits. While Robin said in Michigan, for an employer that has an FSA, flexible spending account. Can you use that flexible spending account to pay for IVF or infertility services? You need to be aware, you need to be educated on what resources are available to you so that you can use those resources. There are all IVF. Do you know how to contact them? Do you even qualify for a clinical trial? There are all types of resources and options available to you that, unfortunately, because some states have chosen. So if indeed this is an issue that you have, that you need help with, please outreach Infertility for the Soul. If you're like, well, Sandra, I want to, but I don't have their information, please reach out to me. I will make sure you get the information. I will make sure that that information is shared with you so that you yourself can call Infertility for the Soul and say, hey, I live here. I need help. Because maybe you might be in it. So even if you don't live. So with that being said, I'm going to ask Robin if she has any final remarks, and then we will go ahead and once again say thank you for myself and the C.H.L.M.S Medi-Helpz Foundation board members for sharing with us your knowledge today. Final remarks.
No, I just want to say thank you for giving me this platform to allow me to educate and to talk about this again. Us as African American women, we don't talk about it. We do not talk about it. They teach us about pregnancy, but they don't teach us the reasons why you cannot get pregnant. They don't teach us about egg freezing. They don't teach us that these things can happen or that there's possibilities that you cannot get pregnant. There's diseases out here. So thank you for allowing me to share that information. And hopefully I touched some people. Hopefully I felt uh easy enough to make them feel comfortable to talk about this. And again, if not, it's okay. I've been there. I understand. I know sometimes it takes times, but please, you will never know who can help you if we don't talk about it. And that's all I want. And I just want to say also, FSA, they do cover. You can use your FSA card for your infertility issues, for IVF or IUI. It is a medical procedure and they will cover it. They will pay for that.
I'm going to wish you a good night, and I will be in contact with you shortly. Thank you.
You're welcome. You have a good night. Thank you for having me.